Greetings, Average Vatos. Welcome to Week 6 of the League of Average Vatos Power Rankings show. Week 6 was by far one of the most exciting weeks in our league. Big congratulations to D-Balla for securing his first win. And for our fantasy grudge match of the week, we had the fantasy fucker take down the Girly Gates to remain undefeated. With the Week 6 wins and losses, they weren't quite the biggest stories of our league this week. We saw one of the biggest trades ever in the history of our league between the big Gronkowski and fantasy fucker. This trade resulted in record levels of controversy in our league, arguably larger than TD's for Harambe robbing Team Soul Train last week. So before our weekly rankings, we'll do a little breakdown of this trade in our breaking news segment. All right, so here we have a little breakdown of the trade. On the left side, we have the players that the big Gronkowski traded to fantasy fucker, and on the right side, we have the players fantasy fucker traded to the big Gronkowski. Okay, so let's break this down. We had James Robinson and Jamal Williams going over to fantasy fucker, and then we had CMC and Clyde Edwards-Helaire going over to the big Gronkowski. Now, I think receiving James Robinson, always a solid move for fantasy fucker. Guaranteed top 10 running back. He's been staying healthy, so solid addition. And then for the big Gronkowski, you have him receiving CMC, who, when he is healthy, is consistently a top 5 running back every week. And then you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's been putting up similar points to Jamal Williams, slightly more, but is injured currently. But you also want to think, who has a higher ceiling? Definitely Clyde Edwards-Helaire, playing on Kansas City. Jamal Williams, he's a number 2 guy behind DeAndre Swift on a weak Detroit's offense. He is healthy right now, but it's not even like the big Gronkowski even needs running backs right now either. He has some solid depth there, obviously led by Derrick Henry. And then he has Kansas City's backup. So regardless if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is playing or not, he's going to have the Kansas City running back. And he has Mike Davis, who, solid, decent running back 2 / running back 3. Always going to be startable. And then for tight ends, you had the big Gronkowski sending over Dalton Schultz. So here, let me break down some of these numbers. So the first number we have is their ranking. Second number we have is their points per game. The reason for CMC I put both is he's averaging 16.8 on the season, but he had a 5-point performance one of the weeks he got hurt. But if you take that away, he averages roughly 22 a week. So with this tight end swap, right, we had the big Gronkowski sending over a higher-ranked Dalton Schultz to get Kyle Pitts. But let's break that down a little, right? The big Gronkowski had a higher-ranked tight end in his roster to begin with, Knox, right? So it wasn't even like he was trading away his starting tight end. He wasn't even starting Schultz, right? And he's receiving Pitts, who's arguably the greatest tight end talent to ever enter the league. The only tight end in NCAA history to be nominated for the Biletnikoff Award, which is the greatest receiver in college football. So it's not even like he was giving up that much at tight end. And he also gave over Michael Pittman too, where you want to think about it, right? Is Pittman even going to start for fantasy fucker? He has DK Metcalf, he has Godwin, he has Jamar Chase, all who are ranked higher, scoring higher than Michael Pittman. Yeah, you can throw in Pittman as a flex potentially, play him matchup to matchup, but more than often, he's not even going to be in the starting lineup. So really, I think the big Gronkowski won this trade, as with most people in the league, but you never know at the end of the day. CMC and Clyde Edwards-Helaire are injured, but it seems like the big Gronkowski should be fine waiting until they get healthy. And it wasn't even like Fantasy Fucker needed wins at the current moment. He's 6-0. He could afford a loss or two while he's waiting for CMC, Clyde Edwards-Helaire to get injured. So that's my breakdown of the trade. Again, I think it was robbery, but you never know. This is fantasy football. All right, now with our trade breakdown out of the way, let's go on to the power rankings. We're going to go through this quick, guys. In number 10, we have Team Soul Train. He sits tied at the bottom of our league. And as far as standing, with his team arguably being even weaker due to trading away his stud, Jonathan Taylor. That leaves him at the bottom of our rankings. In number 9, we have Boulevard Ballers. He picked up his first win this week, so he has some momentum going forward. Let's see if he can get another win in week 7. Number 8, we got Team Garcia. You know, he's had some solid performances every week, but still 1-5. So this week, not looking too good either. Lots of injuries, lots of buys for him. So let's see how he does this week. Number 7, we got Professor's Payback. Due to some unfortunate injuries and buys, it looks like he may struggle too. He's sitting at 3-3 though, so let's see if he can recover and make that playoff run. Number 6, you got your boy, my ball, Zach Ertz. You know, I had a solid start to the season, 2-0. Unfortunately, in the time since then, I'm going 1-3. Let's see if I can get a win this week in week 7 and get some momentum going moving forward. Number 5, we got Fantasy Fucker. Is his team going to make the playoffs? Yeah, probably he will. He's 6-0 right now. But is he going to win it all? Probably not. Doesn't really got studs anymore. So let's see how he does the rest of the season. Number 4, we got Sharks Don't Need H2O. His team's sitting, a little weak right now as far as record, 3-3. But he's been battling tough every week, consistently putting up points. I think he should be a lock for the playoffs. So, number 3, we got the Gurley Gates. The Gurley Gates has been one of the only teams staying consistently at the top of the rankings. Don't let the number 3 spot confuse you. I think any of the top 3 are kind of interchangeable, but he's definitely a championship contender. Number 2, TDs for Harambe. His team has shot up the rankings, mostly due to robbing Team Soul Train, but he doesn't really have to fear about getting kicked out of the league anymore since the big Gronkowski made an even bigger robbery. And number 1, the big Gronkowski. He made a big move to acquire some absolute league-winning studs this week. And his team should have enough depth to, get some wins going still while they're getting healthy. So I don't see that being a problem for him either. So once all those players come back, you do not want to face the big Gronkowski. And then finally, for our fantasy grudge match of the week, we have a grudge match between our 2 big traders, the Fantasy Fucker and the big Gronkowski. Let's enjoy this battle over bragging rights to see who comes up with the big win after the big trade. Although it doesn't look like the trade will be affecting this week's matchup, it certainly adds some more drama. Now with that all out of the way, that's the end for today's show. And for now, my ball, Zach Ertz, out, and stay tuned for next week.